Begin sequence.
Today we're going to have a look in more detail about the Atari shelf that we have here in the theatre. Atari is very special for me. You know, it's really where I grew up and first experienced arcade games on the good old trusty VCS, which I have sitting down here on the floor, an old 6-switcher, quite dusty in fact, it's a good clean. But the old 6 switches they had on here, they changed them to 4, and there was a black one for a Darth Vader version. But anyway, this was the good old trusty box that I had when I first started playing games. And wow, what some fond memories, you know, playing Spaceys for the first time on here after seeing it in the arcades. It was a crazy, crazy time. It was all new technology. You know, the graphics are so simple, gameplay was fantastic, and a lot of fun times. So that's where it all started. Now, what else do we have on the shelf? Well, a stack of software. So this was some of the first software that came out for the Atari 800 and 400 computers. I have an 800. I progressed from the Atari VCS or the 2600 to the Atari 800, and then started getting a lot of these games. Now, these are all games that I've since recollected. As you can see, this one's completely shrink wrapped, so they're not the original ones I had because a lot of those got lost when I moved. I do actually have my original Atari though. I did manage to get that over here, but a lot of the software I've since recollected. But anyway, these were the cool big black boxes, and they were quite basic. They all look very similar in terms of the initial software that was released. They took up a lot of shelf space. I mean, we've got a little cartridge in here that's really tiny, and they're sort of sitting in there with a big manual behind the back of it, but they really stood out. I guess there wasn't a lot of software originally, so they wanted to sort of fill the shelves up. They did get smaller after that, which I've got down the bottom here. But anyway, a lot of the stuff is sort of like the original initial 8-bit Atari 8-bit software, and that's why I've collected it, to be honest. It means a lot to me, that particular system. So it was great to go back and start rebuying, you know, all that software that I had in the old days, and a lot of stuff that I didn't have in the day but wanted desperately. So that's pretty cool. Now, tucked away to the side is a very special game. Not the Space Invaders record, mind you. There was a couple of these, actually. Really corny music. Maybe, I probably can't play it because of copyright laws, but yeah, there was another one with the Pac-Man music one. That's a shocker. Anyway, that's that. This is what I wanted to talk about. Mule. Awesome game. Awesome strategy game. I won't do an episode on that, but here's an original, and these are expensive actually, but they had cool art in here. They had all the programmers, details on each of the programmers, which was pretty cool. The original disc there, so that's pretty awesome. I'm not going to put it back on the shelf. I've got to dismantle this anyway, right? So up the top here, what do we got? Well, this is a bit of bizarre. This is the Atari Video Music System, which really just played a lot of graphics. You put your music through it and it would play some fancy graphics on the screen. Pretty cool for its day, and just slotted in like a hi-fi type of box. Very unusual. And I've actually got the original box for that, and we'll drag that out of the archival storage at some point. Got a lot of other stuff out there, but it's a really quite bizarre box because the Atari logo almost looks like it was sort of hand drawn by, I don't know, someone's son or daughter at Atari at the time. I mean, it doesn't look like the proper Atari logo, but it is the one printed on the box. But anyway, what else we got up here? We've got a little asteroids, watch. Oh no, it's just a watch? Yeah, it was a watch. I can't remember now, you know. A lot of the stuff have been stuck up on the shelves for so long. What is it? Let me have a look. What have we got here? Oh, a cool little box. And you know, I don't think I've actually really opened. I think I bought this and you know, meaning to open it. No, I really haven't. Actually, here's an impromptu unboxing. Let's have a look. Got a little Atari logo. So this wasn't made back in the day. This was made relatively well recently. That's a nice watch actually. Here we have the watch here. It's still got its cover on it. But what it's supposed to do is display some asteroids. It's got a nice little, you can see that nice little Atari logo up the top here. But it's supposed to actually display asteroids in the background. The battery is probably way gone. I'll have to find out. We'll check that out probably another day. Anyway, let's go back to the shelf. What else we got up here? Gosh, you know what this is? Here's a trick for you. What is this? Do you know? It's a disc notcher. We used to do for the old floppy disks. If you wanted to write to the other side of the disc, then you had to actually take this notch out, because that's what actually determined if you could write to the disc or not. So you use a special little fandangle thing, and you'd put the disc in, and then click it, and then it would take a chunk out of there, and you'd be able to write to it. You know what that is now. Okay, so what else do we have here? Well, this is cool. This is some nostalgia right here, and geez, it's dusty too. It needs a clean, my goodness. It's come straight out of the Ark. Look at the dust on that. Wow. Oh, it was time to move this shelf anyway, by the looks of things. What is this? It's an old acoustic modem. 300 baud modem. 300 baud. That is so slow. So you would put a phone, which used to be like this, of course. These are the old handsets. And you put it on the top like so. It would fit a little bit better, a real one. And it would actually play the data, through the telephone line, through normal audio, through into the acoustic modem at 300 baud or 300 bits per second. And of course, you'd be susceptible to line noise and people picking up the other line, and it would make it drop out. But this was the first. This is cool, man. This is the first part of communications, consumer communications that led towards connecting up to bulletin board systems, and then eventually through to the internet. So that's awesome. Else we're up the top here. We don't have, this is not an Atari thing, but the old Galaxy Invader 1000. God, I spent a lot of time playing that thing. Little Space Invaders handheld little unit. Got the box for that. I've got a, right up the back there. Can you see it? Oh, you can see that there. Right at the back there is the original box for the VCS. Can you believe I imported that from the US empty? I so desperately wanted the box. I couldn't find one that was a unit with the box in it. I could only find, someone actually put up an empty box on eBay in the US, and some schmuck bought it. Not my best purchase by any means. But anyway, I wanted the box and I have it. Now the other thing up here is we've got a share certificate. This is hardcore Atari collecting right here. 50,000 shares of Atari Corporation. We have some original paddle controllers and the stick controllers, which were the staple controller back in the day, and got the original boxes for those. I think one little cool thing here is this Laser Blast, which was on the VCS. One of my favourite games, and you can see here it's got a little sort of badge that I actually won from submitting a score over 1 million. So you've got this little thing here for 1 million, and you had to send in a photo, take a real photo, wait for it to get developed, 7 days later, and send the photo in, and then they would look at it, and then they would send you out a badge if you got over 1 million points. So I used to be really good at this game. I did try it the other day, and actually I was crap. So I don't know what's happened since then and now. Maybe I should try it again. Maybe we do another episode and I'll see if I can. Do you think I could try and break 1 million? I don't know how long that took me. So I think that's the top shelf done. Well, we're right in the middle here. You can see that I've got a lot of the VCS titles here boxed. And you know what? I don't know if you guys remember, but in the old magazines, for those of you that were around and the old Compute magazines, they used to advertise the Atari VCS, and every advertisement would have the whole stack of games, and they'd be in this sort of colour, range, or the way that they were organised and stacked. I always used to think that was awesome. I used to wish, could I get all those games? So I started collecting them. There's more behind the back there actually, so I've almost got the full set. The graphics are so basic on those guys, but it's just sensational gameplay. And of course, at the time, it was so groundbreaking. We were used to playing board games. It was Monopoly every Saturday, As soon as we got electronic games, it was, wow, a whole new frontier. Well, a few things here. I've got the Atari 800 machine here, which is covered up. We might as well get rid of this. Take these covers off. You can see the original Atari there, and the Atari 810 disk drive. We'll see if it actually fires up this time. I'll load it up, and I have got running out on the side here, we can see that a little unit which got an SD card in it, and you can load, and it plugs directly into the Atari, and you can load all your old 8-bit games off that rather than from the drive. I do actually like running them off the drive though. Always makes a cool noise when it's plugged in, which I don't have at the moment, but we might do that another day. I'm sure we'll run up some Atari stuff in another episode so I can show you there. So I'm running this here on a LCD monitor, and a horrible cheap one at that, and it's just not the same. Now I have actually run an Atari emulator through the Chinese Candy Cab, and on that screen it looks so much better. So I was just wondering what that was actually on there. What do I actually load? It should be Castle Crisis, but it's not. Anyway, we'll sort that out another day. What else we got down the bottom here? Well, there's just a stack of other hardware. We got the old CX85 Atari keypad. Here's some of the smaller box Atari stuff. Look, we're not going to go through all those individually. I'm sure you're not interested to see all of that. But right down the bottom here, I used to like these little case holders sitting on the shelf. You put all your cartridges in there. And these grey ones. So be careful, they'll probably all fall out of there. And that's about it really. I've got some the original manuals and other documentation on the 800 down the bottom here. Some learn Italian and Spanish and stuff through the little tape player that you used to hook up. Because before the disk drive, of course, you had to load games through the tape drive, which used to take forever and was prone to erroring out while you loaded them. You had to reload them. Took forever, but anyway, it was great when the disk drives finally came along. So listen, that's about all I've got to say really for the Atari shelf. As I said, I'm going to dismantle this thing. I've got to move it. I've got to get something else sitting here, guys. And I really didn't plan to add anything more to this room. I need to make the space. So that's the last you'll see of that shelf. I might actually try, I think the machine is going to fit here. I'll be able to put some of the stuff above it. I don't know, I'll have to work out something, put some shelves in there and see how we go. Anyway, look, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope there was something there of interest. Please leave some comments below, and like and subscribe if you want to follow. And look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, ciao for now. You belong.